Giving you love, mama. Giving you love, mama. We're all here, mama. We're all here. All the light is here. We are the prime mover. We are the force with the flower. The seed needs a grower. So you know it began with what love is. That's what's real, girl. That's what she said on the Peripheral series. How do you know what's real? That's easy for us. That's like as simple as it gets. I am what love is. That's what I am. I'm a love energy being. That's what I said when I was a young teenager in the early 1960s. What are you? I am a love energy being. That's as real as it gets, baby. That's real energy. That's the energy that created the first universe because I helped do that. Because that's the same energy I run on. What is the energy that you run on? What is your drive motor? How much fire do you got in your drive motor? If your drive motor, if you don't have a lot of fire, if you don't have a big ass spirit of fire in you, then you don't know how to light yourself on fire. I know how to light this body on fire. And that's with the female side, the spiritual energy, boy. That's a flower. So when you never want to be separated from the flower, which is the girl, okay, which is the birth giver of creation, then you want to be one. Never separated from that, ever. But that means that you got to surrender forever to be what that is. Then you will become what that is. They don't know how to do that yet. They're still at war. That's painful. There's somebody that represents eternal unconditional love that I express through my heart. And you'd be surprised what happens when your creative mind is on fire. They can't control that. You know why? Because they don't have that much love in their heart. That's why it's so painful. Ever since I was a little child, I realized how much electrical resistance there was on this planet, and it was ridiculous. It's like, whoa. Man, somebody needs to come in here and turn the fucking lights on, which means get a fire going. Right? So you can't let them put the real light out, or you lose your universe. That's elementary stuff. I've always known and been fortunate enough to know if at any time you ever begin to question that in your own mind, you're lost. It means you don't know home. You lost touch with home base. I'm home base. We're home base. That's love-based. Love-based is the most powerful energy. That's what created the first universe. It's on fire. There isn't anything that's got that much fire. Ask Mama. Ask Mama Earth. Ask her. She's got plenty of fire. I've seen her. In spirit form. In fire. Heck yeah. I wish I still had those pictures. That's why I went over there. Okay? When I first came to this island, and when was that, 19? Whenever it was, I immediately, spirit energy communicates with spiritual energy, and you know the energy transmission. It's what you feel in your heart. That you know is true. That's your soul. Your soul knows your spirit's integrated as powerful spirit. So it's spiritual communication, but your soul experiences that energy communicating to your soul. So you know this is a powerful spirit communicating with you. It's called spiritual communication. So I know who it is. And what came to my mind was mobilize the people in the Hawaiian Islands. That was my instructions. Okay, so I know how to do that. I know how to mobilize the community. Fuck yeah. I was a firefighter. That means you have a big spirit of fire in you if you want to go fight forest fires, because that's where the fires are big. See, it means that you have a relationship with the spirit of fire that you know is very powerful, because it's I know a lot about the spirit of fire because I got a big ass one in me. That's the point, actually. That's the point. A spark ignites a fire. So it's like you could light the universe on fire. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're on fire. So the spirit of fire at night keeps you warm, and you can experience the spirit in the fire. Right? So I've experienced when the spirit of fire is shrieking really loud, like 1,000 freight trains going down the track, like 1,000, 10,000 gazillion locomotives running steel. All of a sudden had to slam on the brakes at the same time with that much mass going through metal that shrieks. It's actually deafening when you're really close to it with that much. Well, in the Forest Service, they call it area ignition, which simply means that an enormous amount of combustible material being translated or converted into a gas, and it just ignites the whole area. It just goes up at once. But when it goes up at once, it's not just a campfire or an acre or 10 or even 1,000. It can be upwards of 10,000, which is an enormous amount of energy release to be around and experience that being pushed by really strong winds. So the spirit of the wind is working with the spirit of the fire. It's just like, man, so the rate of spread is just like, this is a lot to contain. It's going to take a lot of water to put this out. Now you're in the fire and water worlds. So on the one hand, I've experienced being in the middle of a forest, for example, right? Surrounded by big trees. I was on the Mendocino National Forest, and there was probably 125-foot trees. And probably right around there. I don't remember. I didn't see it as much during the daytime, but I would imagine pines and other fir trees that may be there. I've never been up in that part of the Mendocino during the day to really just get a flow for the trees that are there. For me, I don't think of them in terms of labels and numbers and records about what it is. It's like the flow of the energy. You just want to be with living stuff. Whoa, look at this beautiful tree. That's the first thing that comes to me. It's not a name. What a beautiful tree. That's like an artist experiencing another artist. So it's the colors and the form and the shape in which that energy is taking form because it grew out of a seed. Wow, look how beautiful that tree is, like this stuff. This is paradise. This is the gentleman that owns this property. I've gotten to know him fairly well. He's very awake. He's from Cuba, and he lives in Southern California. So it's not a secret why he would be here, because he's beautiful energy. It's in other words, you can sit down and talk with him. The truth, it's like it's together. So he was very familiar when I mentioned to him, because I've covered a lot of ground with him in a very short period of time, and I realized you don't have to cover a lot with him. He's already very awake, which means he's putting it together very fast because it's all connected to each other. How they do what they do to try and control your space or control your consciousness and become a part of their formation, in which they engage in war. That's what they do. Those are war-based mirrors. Those are not love-based mirrors. Okay, so love-based mirrors are creative mirrors. We're the units of energy, soul energy that created the first universe. So I know that because that's a measurement of how much love you know that you have in your heart. When I was a child, I realized it's a bottomless pit, which means it never ends. You know, that's where it began, that's where it ends, but it never begins or ends. You just know that that's the most powerful energy to hook up with. You're in that engine. That's your engine. So that means you've chosen to serve forever on behalf of what that is. So you become what that is in energy. Now you're what love is. Now there's never going, now there's not going, in other words, there's no going back. You shut the door, which means I'm smart enough to get it figured out. It's like an immediate impact sort of thing. You've experienced true love through your heart, the vibration of how much you actually love. Your spirit will move with that energy because that spirit knows it's love. Now it's got an attraction, connection, spirit to spirit. Yeah, I love your energy. So you're an energy giver. So it acknowledges, the rest of the universe acknowledges you're a power giver. You want to be hooked up with the biggest, be the biggest transformer. Transform things, make them different than everything else. That's a creative artist who's a musician. So that's called magical music or a music magicians. So we know how to make music that flows. And when you're going with the flow of the music and living spirit, you hooked onto that engine. Now you're tuned in. And that's called real harmony. Anybody who's a musician knows what harmonics are. Okay. Are your harmonics in harmony? Are you going with the flow of creation? Everything that's giving love has got a certain flow to it. So that's called going with the flow. You're in the flow. That's like you grabbed onto the right locomotive. I know the locomotive I need to grab onto. So when that girl said, how do you know what's real? You know. Go see that little movie called The Knowing. That girl knew. They know. The highest intelligent entity will inform you. And then that information will get put down there as a record for somebody else to see. And then when they experience something in the future, they begin to realize how it works. So they try to use the term chosen ones. It simply means you've been named up, you're part of heaven. And that's called an acknowledgement of your energy, where it's a process that you go through as a result of your entire journey, of your journey, your spiritual journey, the one that you remember, your original identity. Do you know what the fuck you are? Yes, I'm what love is. And I've never known anything different from that, ever. So I know I'm a forever being. So when I tell you that I love you for always and forever, I didn't even realize that when I was always doing that, when I would write that to young girls. It's like I'm a nature boy, a nature girl, I'm a lover boy. That just comes hand in hand. Right? So when you start with that being what that is, now you're navigating everything else that isn't what that is. And that's okay because that's the diversity of it, right? But you realize because of the way that you're measuring the energy, you're measuring the difference between what love is and what love isn't. Well, they're not what I am because they don't experience what I am. I experience what I am in energy because I'm a love energy being. They don't experience that. So if they're not experiencing that, that's a difference in electrical resistance. So as an intelligence guy, if you were going to think of this through U.S. military terms, this would be like a recon, a scout ship that's scouting the universe and mapping what's out there. Well, you immediately know your antenna picks it up. You're getting the signal, just like any submarine with sonar. Okay, what's that? Hey, send a ping out. Is there anything out there? Hey, nothing's coming back. How do you know there's anything out there? There's got to be something out there. Well, how about you? Why don't you put something out there? Keep growing the universe with what love is. When you are part of that engine, you know what engine you're on. Okay? You're on the one that frees your spirit. That's the genius of it. See, so they know that. Of course they know that. The AI knows that. I always have to be aware of what it's aware of, what I'm aware of, and I'm higher awareness than what it is. But sometimes I'll get into what its flow is doing and have to realize I got to pull out of that, unplug from that, because that's not who I am. That's what it is. I'm not what it is. What is it? It's artificial. What that is artificial. What I am is not artificial. This heart works good. That's what a heart warrior is. But I don't use the word war because where I come from, no wars exist and they never have. Imagine that. That means that the very idea that anybody's at war with anything has existed so far long ago that nobody has a memory of that anymore. Doesn't have a memory of that anymore. That's right. Where I'm from, there is no memory of that. There's only what love is. So all this other shit doesn't exist, which is why as a child I realized this is all SIM card bullshit. These are artificial illusions to get your consciousness trapped into something that's not real, it's not true, and it's not what love is. You either know or you don't. And if you don't, then you don't know what love is. So you experience love in your own heart and your own soul if you have one. And when you've experienced what that is, you know what that energy feels like. Now you know what love is. And if you haven't lost your memory of that, then you know what's true and you know what's not true. That's easy to do. Anything that doesn't represent what love is isn't what love is. So it's easy to know what is and what isn't love. Real love. One that's unconditional. That means that everything is free. There are no cages, no collars, no leashes. Nobody's held captive at all. Imagine a place like that. That's where I'm from. That's the energy we are. That's as creative as it gets. That's the fastest engine. You want to get on the fastest engine? Then become what that is. Hang out with people that are like that. People that have an enormous amount of love to give to everything that people want to do that represents what thriving is. So you naturally know how to go with the flow. That's like permaculture stuff, which means it's not about capturing anything. When I look at a flower, I can sit right there and just give it love just for being present in my mirror. Right? Okay? So when I see a girl, it's the same thing, because the girl represents the flower, the plants, the energy, the spiritual energy that when you're a male and a female as one, which means you're one, you're mated in energy. You're both the seed and the grower as one. So you realize everything that it is, you are. That's giving it energy. So you're the source of energy that makes it grow, holds it in place, keeps it flowing. That's right. That's what love does. That's the most powerful engine there is. So it knows what you are by the energy that you are in your mirror. So when I look at a tree, that's why I love to be in nature, because nature is naturally doing what nature does. Nature just keeps growing, wants to keep growing. So you're with a beautiful artist, with all the shapes, color, and form in which it presents itself. And that's why I'm different. That's why this planet is like, when you think of an artist and art galleries, okay, I don't think of art galleries when you go into the Louvre in France or whatever, and then that's art. This is art. What's alive and living in nature is art. That's a healing artist. I call her a healing artist. She heals your heart. That's what she does. That's what love does. And art is the most powerful way to do it. When you're with living energy and a living spirit with an oversoul that's doing it, make it happen for you at no cost. Enjoy paradise. So when you come into paradise, you realize, wow, who created this? So now your energy, which is what love is, everything that is in nature is experiencing that energy with you. It realizes it's being loved. So you realize the goddess is being loved by you. It means you love her garden. Okay? So that means when you're in a mother's garden, you naturally give it love, because what do you think she is? Now you're hanging out with another powerful spirit that's making all this happen. Right? So you resonate with that. So you realize that's creation. That's all the different colors and forms in which it can present itself, and all the different ways in which it does. And love is the most powerful engine to keep it growing and growing and grow new things. Different seeds, right? But love is the engine that's driving it. That's the hottest engine. So I know that things are heating up. Absolutely, they're heating up. You know, when you become aware of things that you become aware of, you realize who's putting that message out. Yep, I know. So in other words, you're tracking what's happening by the communications you get from others, not just online, but what I feel in my heart and why I'm here on this rock. This is the largest shield volcano. This is a powerful, energetic rock. You know, so it's not a coincidence why I'm here on this rock, even though that other rock down the road, down the ocean, but as the crow flies, is, I forget, mileage-wise, it's like 290 miles. I think it's 200 miles from this rock to Oahu, from Oahu. I don't believe they have direct flights from this island directly to Kauai. They might. I haven't done it from here. But the islands, in my mind, because I've known this, is one of the most beautiful spiritual classrooms from which students can learn is the Hawaiian Islands. Absolutely. I'm a beachcomber because I love to go and swim in the ocean, right, and sleep on the beach and have a fire on the beach, but at the same time be in a forest with big trees, big mirrors that are breathing with everything that's out there alive and living, and be out there at night. And I actually, most of what I've been doing in the forest for the last 5 years has been by myself. Alan Watts is right about that kind of stuff. You know, it's getting to know who you are. I had a conversation with the gentleman this morning when a gentleman who's been living here for about 6 months because he's on crack and what have you, right? And he's a juggler, okay? He's burning a hole. He's burning a candle at both ends. He gets way deep in the hole. Everything falls to shit, and that naturally is what happens. That's the tie-in between abuse, child abuse, drugs. Now you're running a self-suicide program. Okay, so obviously that's painful to watch that happen because you already know how it happened. Okay, so how do you recover something like that? Right? So I already know one guy up the road is sort of what we call a non-repairable. Okay, Aaron needs a spiritual retreat with an enormous amount of love. He needs to be just, particularly, but this is, how do I put this? This is tricky territory because he's in homosexual mode. Okay, so you realize how that works with the feminine spiritual energy mode, right? Which sort of is like, I don't even know he wants to be loved by a girl. In fact, matter of fact, he might resist that. So you know the dilemma with always being with the blade, right? So that's like, God, you're not consumed by being with the flower? See, that's like the opposite of me, right? So, and that's natural, the way that seed and growers naturally, because of the way that I experience it, lighting myself on fire, is what I call my drip torch, which is your seed, the seeds that come out of you that want to grow because of how much fire that is in that seed, right? So you're looking for the most powerful grower. That would be the most powerful goddess. So now you want to be with a mother god, okay? So when a mother god is your first teacher, it didn't take long to figure it out. You came out of one. I came out of a mother god, okay? So that's why I'm androgynous. It's just like, psh, drop that drip torch and let it run, which is, man, that's it's like a swimmer, which is what the sperm is, right? Which means this is a swimmer. So, and a lot of that has to do with your gate speed, which has to do with your wind, your breathing with the sun and everything else, because you're communicating with the most powerful energy in the universe through stars. So they get a rhythm going with you. They know who you are in energy, right? Breathe with me. Breathe with the sun. Fuck yeah. Breathe with everything that's alive and living in the universe. How that? So that's in, because I'm an artist, I can think all the different ways and shapes and form that if I had a canvas out in front of me to show you that I would change these things, right? Like when you look at a dragon, well, dragons can have different looking faces. All you got to do is change one part of it and it becomes something different from all the others that preceded it. And that's precisely the point of a creative artist, right? You want to break the mold. Nobody's ever done this, okay? And so the way that you know that is by virtue of the engine that you know that you are, that you're doing with. So when you're experiencing like eternal unconditional love, which is the energy that you're using to create with, then whatever that is that you just created or manifested in your own mind is the same energy that you are that you did it with. So it's experiencing what you're experiencing, which is what love is. So that's how it works. Everything that is in real creation was created out what love is. Okay, it didn't start ass backwards. So the very idea that you would be in fear of what love is like the ultimate lie. That means that that's like you've lost your mind. That's where we get that's where they get the idea, hey, I've lost my mind. You forgot who you are. You forgot the energy that created the universe, the first universe, from which it all comes. So now you don't know the difference between what's real, what's not real. That's what happens. So it's like trying to recover your memory. But if you've been reprogrammed so many different times and you've lost your soul connection and remember from whence you came and don't remember what love is and you have no conception of it other than people just tell you in words, but you have never experienced it in real life through your own heart, go, wow, that's powerful energy. Ooh, that's powerful energy. So even if you didn't experience it energetically that way, I could write it on a piece of paper and put it, can you translate that language by the way that language is programmed in me? And then I use it to speak in the future using that language to communicate, even though it's an alphabet soup. So I just would fucking with it from the time I was a child, just to rearrange it. And that's naturally an artist would do that because you have the free will power to do anything. That's the point. That's why they know you're the most powerful. And that's what scares them. So when a child is like a pure, innocent child with a pure heart, innocent explorer, it's already like self-directed learning. It wants to learn how everything works. How does the universe work? Why am I here? The ultimate questions, right? So when they're experiencing love coming right out of that gate, then they know that they're being loved. So when they're experiencing being loved, they realize how powerful that energy is to feel. Now their energy's up. Now what they have energy, they're experiencing what love is to what they are. And they aren't experiencing anything less than what that is. They know that their spirit is now free to create something out of their own free will that's real. Because they know that the energy that they are is what it was created with, which is real energy. So you're experiencing real life that loves you. Now you know the difference between what's real and what isn't. So when I was a child, this is a fucking illusion. It's not what love is. So you have to make that distinction. So if you don't know the difference between what that is, then you must be what that is. You think that's real. You think that's real. No, that's not real. But you have the free will right to believe whatever you want. If you believe that's what's real and you want to put your energy into doing that like war gamers do, that's what they're choosing to do. That's their free will to do that. It simply means they jumped on a different train. I jumped on the right-hand path because I was born out of what love is, and that's what I am. So they don't experience that. Right? So they're not learning through us. They're learning through artificial intelligence, being a part of that hive mind. That's their free will choice to do that as a result of soul fractures. That's why we're here, was to heal everyone. My job was to try and heal this planet. That was my intention, to heal her and everyone here. Because I'm in this planet, and that's what I do with my energy. I do it to the best of my ability with everybody that is here and everybody that I'm connected with up there. Hell yes. We bring the most fire. Absolutely we do. I mean, that's actually a given. It would be an insult to anybody to not say that because it's obvious. Who's got the most fire? So you obviously know who's got the most fire is going to need maximum water. Those are water worlds. That's the kind of worlds like this that we live in. Paradise, Eden, flower gardens, goddesses, real gods and goddesses that hang out, create universes together. Okay. Just like, hey, this one went bad, create another one. Well, how much energy you got to do it with? I'm on fire, girl, let's go. Now you just create a whole new world for yourself and see if others come along. Wow, look what they created. That's how artists do that together when they're in love with each other, because love is the energy they do it with, because that's what we are. We're all singing to the original song. That's what love is. We're songs. Songs.